Hi everybody, my name is Matthew. I am not ashamed to declare that I have special education needs, or SEN for short. My conditions are more in the invisible spectrum. They fall under the subset of autism, which is Asperger's, as well as the spectrum of dyslexia, dyspraxia, and dyscalculia. So these conditions are all under the invisible spectrum where they are not so obvious. My mother went into shock, and both of us nearly perished. Fortunately, we were saved, but that period of time when she was in shock, I was deprived of valuable oxygen, which would then cause brain deficit, especially on the left hemisphere of my brain. In terms of functional skills, that was where it became very apparent something was amiss. I was very much slower compared to others in reading, writing, fine motor movements like tying shoelaces, which many of us may learn in an instant. All this took me a tremendously long time. Not to mention simple mathematical and scientific spatial reasoning concepts. All these, which were considered basic, were very difficult for me to grasp. I just thought I was slow, stupid, not gifted. And growing up with that kind of stigmatization was difficult. It was to such an extent that I despaired of life, especially when I entered national service, which is a mandatory service all males have to serve in our country in Singapore. My conditions were diagnosed only after repeated testing. By the time they were diagnosed, I finished my national service. I had a name for my conditions at the age of 18. That did not mean life got any easier. After all, these conditions are lifelong. Although I have learned to work harder, to persevere, to continue doggedly working towards a goal in spite of ridicule, discrimination, and rejection, it will still continue to have an impact on your psychological and your mental development as a person. My parents look far deeper. From a young age, they will always say to me, remember Matthew, your character and your life, your heart is much more important. At that point of time, I could not understand how that was relevant. How would that make my life better? How would that take away all the pain? Rather, they were giving me something much more important, a moral compass in which meaning in life can be derived through adversities. Due to my experiences, I've also been inspired by teachers who have impacted me greatly. Not to mention my sister, who is brilliant in every conceivable way, but is incredibly humble, kind, and compassionate. And of course, my soulmate, my wife, who was my only girlfriend. And these very few individuals were my pillars of life. We do what we can to help those who are struggling, those who are going through isolation, difficulty, and challenges like us. Which is why I've been using my interest in music, film, writing. As you can see here from the words We Belong, this is a song I wrote last year, and one of the many songs I had the privilege of composing and singing. Not to mention I had the honor of also producing a film entitled Unbroken, and this year, by the end of June, we hope to also produce another film where it's about the challenges parents face in attending to their special needs kids, especially during the COVID pandemic period, where there's a lot of hardship economically, mentally, emotionally, and psychologically. My passion in these areas were inspired by my difficulties, but through the difficulties, I learned how to use those abilities given to me to be able to help others who are struggling, and not to live for myself, but to learn to live for others, which actually gives you a lot more joy than a self-centered, self-seeking life. In the midst of things we cannot control or understand, we are able to still derive much satisfaction, meaning, and joy, even through the midst of pain, perplexities, and difficulties. And it's this compass with those who love you unconditionally that gives you the courage and the impetus to be able to live life with conviction and with direction. I leave you with these parting words. The true intrinsic worth of a person is not based on what you can achieve, but based on who you are in your heart. Thank you.